everyone. My name is Jeanie Colclough, and I'm the owner of Riveting Trips. I am a Conde Nast top travel specialist, a family travel expert, and I'm here to welcome you to our podcast, Riveting Trips. So, in this podcast, I hope to share with you some of my favorite destinations that are both kid friendly from the ages of 0 to when they're adults, and with some of my favorite suppliers. And sometimes I'll have my kids on too, so you can hear the kids version or the kids insight as to places of what to do with your children. So if you like what you hear, comment below, share with your friends, and book a trip with us. Talk to you soon. Ciao, everyone. My name is Jeanie Colclough, and I'm the owner of Riveting Trips, and welcome to our podcast. So today we have another episode with my friend Laura Sanvito of Lake Como for you. And today we're going to
Oh,
focus specifically on how to travel with kids from newborn to adult age. So Laura's going to walk us through some possible itineraries and activities, because when you think of the region, you always think of lovers and romance, but you can also find very family-friendly activities to do. So let's start, Laura.
yeah. Thanks for inviting me,
Thank you.
first of all. And talking about traveling with kids is something I love because I've been traveling with my kids now a little bit more grown-ups, but so I think I can share some tips regarding the lakes and how what you can expect from Lake Como and Lake Maggiore and the other lakes in the northern lakes Italian region. Um, so newborns.
Mm. Those are sometimes they're very portable, but it's hard to sometimes do things with them. I remember when my child was a newborn, we went to Paris and just
Yeah.
wore him the whole time, right? So he's not really
Well,
gonna remember anything.
newborns are easier because I mean, once you feed them, you put them there, and
Yeah.
you should. When they start being 8, 10, maybe they have their needs and they want
Yes.
to go there, they want to swim. So anyway, what a Lake Como. Of course, when people think of Lake Como, they think of honeymoon and romance. We actually get a lot of baby moons.
Okay.
Do you call baby
Yes, baby
moons?
moon.
Yes, we
Yes.
call them baby moons. Yes,
I always
and
encourage people to travel once they have newborns. They're always really scared, but I actually think it's if you wait till the kids are a little bit older to actually start traveling with them, it's actually more difficult. So you have to kind of
yeah,
condition your children,
educate.
yeah,
Yes,
educate them and say, okay, it's actually not that hard. Because I do take on clients who have their first international trip with their kids at the age of like 14 or 15.
hmm
And I almost want to say that's great. If it's for financial reasons, I get it. But if it's because you were afraid, sometimes it's really difficult once they're a little bit older because like you said, they have their own desires and wants and they don't want to be around parents. So better to start younger.
with my second born Emma, we traveled to Tanzania
Okay.
when she was like 16 months old, and we all had a great time, and I'm not talking about Tanzania, but also the time difference is so much easier on kids than on
Right.
us. So you
Yes.
don't expect this is something you don't expect, but yes, so let's go to back to baby moons. And so when you travel to Lake Como with a kid, with a very small kid, there are some activities which you can do. Remember that if you choose, for example, a hotel in Tremezzo or in Como, in this case, you will have the opportunity to walk around, wander around. There are very beautiful, flat walks, waterfront walks, very long also
Right.
once.
A
So you
nice
can use,
promenade.
yeah, so
Yeah.
you can use the stroller and relax and explore and enjoy the views first.
Yes.
Then, yes, enjoy a boat tour. All the water taxis can be closed or at least are partially closed, so you can protect your child from the wind and everything. And of course, you will not take a 7 hours boat tour because
No, not
that's
with a
not a good
newborn.
idea. Yeah, but 2, 3 hours can be a very nice. Um, idea, and waters can be a very nice lullaby
So
for your
I know
kids.
because you live in the Como area, where is your favorite spot for like an evening passeggiata? Because that's when I go to Rome and I hang out in Rome quite a bit, there are certain avenues like Via del Corso or along the Fori Imperiali where you see people just kind of doing their Sunday after they've met at nonnas, they have their evening walks
Mhm.
with the whole family comes out. How about for you?
Well, I actually live in Lecco. That's the second most important town at Lake Como. Lecco has a very long promenade. And there are actually a lot of people walking there at any time of the day. So you can find there people with, walking and chatting, but also running and doing their exercise. And I love it. I actually walk there every morning because
Invigorating,
it
right?
helps.
Yeah, it
Yes,
does.
yes,
Clears the mind.
clears
Yeah,
the mind.
clears the
Exactly,
mind.
exactly.
Okay,
So
that's good to
Lecco has
know.
a very nice promenade, and it's also, yes, it's touristic, but it's less crowded than
Yeah,
other towns. So this is also a destination, so the southeastern part of Lake Como, which I'm trying to promote a little bit, because there are nice new hotels, and it's not far from
yeah,
Bellagio. So if the itinerary is designed smartly, you can see whatever you expect and not stay in the most touristic
yeah, kind of
destinations.
crowded
So
areas.
yes,
Okay.
yes.
What about other
So
ages, like when they get a little bit rowdier, toddlers? Are there toddler
yeah.
specific? I know certain hotels offer babysitting or daycare services. Is that such a thing in the region?
Mm, yes and no. I mean, what you can expect from the five stars, yes, is some assistance on this side. If you think of Passalacqua or Grande Hotel
Right.
Tramezzo, I would say these are mostly for adults. Yes,
Adults,
they
yes,
also,
yes.
they welcome kids, but kids plunging in the swimming pool at Canto del Tremezzo, I don't think they are very, very welcome.
Yeah,
So I would choose other destinations, but definitely I would choose a hotel with a swimming pool, because normally what I do as a mother is taking an activity in the morning when it's not too hot, and then you can relax by the pool or
right.
sleep
You
if
can
the age when they sleep in the
I know.
afternoon.
Seems to be one of the
Uh,
bargaining chips for my own daughter. Like the hotel
mhm.
has to have a pool. I never thought of having a pool in a hotel as an adult, but with them, it's just like, okay, it's easy just to lounge at the pool after a day of sightseeing or
Yeah,
activity.
I did it even in Paris. You were mentioning Paris.
Right,
Yes, a pool, because when we got back at 6 p.m.
right,
after, walking
right.
the whole day, then she wanted to be by the pool.
Yeah. I guess you can
So,
just sit there and relax while she's in the pool.
but there are also some attractions which can be interesting for kids. For example, let's talk about Villa del Balbianello, which is number one,
Beautiful villa,
the
yes.
number one attraction of Lake Como, romantic pictures and everything. Yes, but it's been the location to shoot a lot of movies like The Attack of the Clones and Bond movies. So you can adjust the description explanation. The guides are very good at this for kids, and tell them a little bit about these movies, and if they like these movies, they can be involved. There's a very nice attraction which I love, which is the Orrido di Bellano. It's in the Mid Lake region. It's in the town of Bellano, which is
Right.
not Bellagio. It's another
Yeah,
one,
Delano.
and it's a creek. So you can Bellano is a very nice town. So you walk around Bellano, and then you enter this creek, which is right in town. You don't need to hike or anything. You can
Right,
do
because
it
it
with
can
the
be kind of
strokes.
hard with little
No,
kids. Yes,
exactly. It's right in town, and it's 20 minutes.
Okay.
20 minutes walk along this creek where there are waterfalls, and it's really, really beautiful. So this is something I've done with my kids, and I think it's a great idea also
Are there
for
activities
guests.
for families that are a little bit more active when the kids get a little older, can you do activities on the lake, right? Obviously, can you
Yes,
row or
okay.
can you go boating?
Yes, you can kayak,
Okay,
and there are kayaks for two, so you can host your kid,
right,
and so you can kayak. Then you can, there are so many hikes around Lake Como that you can easily choose a panoramic light hike,
right.
where you can bring your kid and enjoy the views.
Yeah,
Definitely. So take a funicular up,
right. To
and
Brunate, or also if you stay in
yes,
Como.
also
Yes.
to if you're staying in Como, there's the funicular up to Brunate. Recently, they reopened a funicular in the Mid Lake area. Will
Okay.
not be very, very detailed. There's one in Lecco. So there are several. And so this is another activity which is really great. Then there are what we call adventure parks. There are a couple, one near Bellagio, others around in the mountains, where kids can climb trees and walk from tree to tree.
Is there zip
And
lining?
also zip lining,
Zip
yes,
lining.
yes.
Kids love zip lining.
Yeah, me too. So,
Okay, so the next time we're gonna drink a glass of wine and then go zip line.
yeah, first the wine,
First the
yes.
wine, then zip line, yes.
And then if you think of a little bit older kids, so also multi-generational
Right.
trips, which I love, because combining
Yeah.
like, for example, if you have a younger couple who is much active,
Yes.
very, very active, much more active than the rest of the group. What we've done very frequently is organizing an early hike for them,
Okay.
so that they can hike when it's not too hot, and they can easily hike from 8 to 10, 7:30 to 9:30, and then go back, refresh, and then have a sailing.
Can you hike year round in the lakes, or does it get too cold in the winter or wet?
Not
What do you
really,
think?
because of the water, the temperature by the lake doesn't get very low. So of course, I wouldn't describe it as mild in January and February. But what
Right.
we do if we want to walk or hike in January and February, and we do it, is stay low.
Okay.
Lower than the snow level,
Right.
which is
Right.
not very, which is very high anyway around the Lake Como, because it's milder. Then, if you get farther from Lake Como, yes, it gets colder, but around Lake Como, definitely not. Talking about season, maybe this is an
Yeah.
interesting information. I guess the season I would consider for Lake Como is from April, even end March. Very much
Okay.
depends how flexible you are in terms of weather. Because in March, if it's rainy, it's cold.
Right.
While from April to December, November and December can be risky, but it's a pre-Christmas time, so it's very nice. There are markets and
And very
everything.
beautiful,
And
decorated, right? Towns and
yes,
stuff.
Como
Yes.
is very special.
Yes.
And recently the weather and temperature have been very mild until Christmas. Then, and in fact, the destination has followed this, and a lot of hotels, like for example, Villa d'Este, had never opened until Christmas, until 2 years ago. It was their 150th anniversary. They
Wow.
decided to do something special, so
Special.
they stayed open until end year, and it was so successful that they decided to continue. And the other hotels
Are
are
following.
following.
Okay.
Yeah. So the season is definitely getting longer.
Right. In terms
I
of
would
booking.
I would think about coming January, February, March, until mid-March, because the water is very cold, so there are no water taxis. Most of the attractions are closed. A lot of hotels are closed for
Yeah,
maintenance,
I think that's what clients need to
holidays.
know, right? Or listeners need to know that Lake Como is still kind of a seasonal place, right? It's not like Milan where it's going to be open year round. A lot of the hotels
Yeah,
are closed
if you come to Varenna in February,
yeah.
What I get from my suppliers, because I don't live there, is there are a lot of people around. So people come from Milan, take the train, get to Varenna and say, everything's closed. Yes, it's February. So restaurants, I mean, they also take some time off because the season is very hard. So, but this will happen because people are getting there in January and February. So it's
So some people will start staying open, right?
yeah,
I
it
think,
will
yeah.
happen.
Yeah.
So going back to multi-generational and a little older kids, definitely a sailing trip with some wine on board. It's always a good idea. And
Get
then
some of the bubbles and get some of the red from the region, right?
yes, yes. And what we love is as Lake Como for you, I would say that one of our strong points is finding producers who are willing to, share their knowledge, share their products and everything. So we have a very nice wine and cheese lovers tour. So we
That
go
sounds
to
heavenly.
this very small wine producer, all ladies, and a cheese producer, which is my favorite, where we go and see all the seasoning and then get this amazing tasting.
You need to
And
stop,
another
Laura.
one I
That
would
sounds so good. Oh my God.
it's aperitivo time here
Oh
now.
yeah. Oh, I wish. It's 5 o'clock somewhere.
So
Yeah.
it's early, yes. So another example I wanted to mention, which I also love, is I mentioned before the Valtellina Valley, which is on top of Lake Como. It's a very popular wine valley, especially for red wines, and we do a lot of tours there. When you have a kid going to a wine tour or not, it depends on the bargain. You were talking about bargain.
Right.
So in the morning, we normally stop at a local farm, which is beautiful, very clean, very special. And kids can get to milk a goat and then be shown how to make cheese. They can make cheese,
Wow.
and
Sounds
this
like
is very
fun.
nice. Yeah, so I would normally do the activity with kids, but if you don't want to, you can leave the kids to the farmer and sit for a very nice tasting. And then lunch, and in the afternoon will be dedicated to grown-ups with the local winery, which is also interesting to see for kids. They will not be able to.
I
They
think
will not be allowed to
we've
drink.
talked in the past about cooking classes, and I know every region in Italy has its own type of cuisine. So when booking like a family cooking class, if you go to the Lakes region, what kind of dishes would people be making there?
Okay, this is a difficult question because if I have the chance to organize a local menu, I would definitely talk about lake fish and risotto and something having to do with cheeses, because the lake, both Lake Como and Lake Maggiore, because of these mountains, have a very nice cuisine mix, mixing fish and mountain and cheese. Every town has its local cheese with its special name, which is different from the other towns' cheese. Yeah, of
That's
course,
the great thing about Italy.
better.
I just
Yes.
love Italy for that reason.
But most of the requests we get is for pasta class.
Okay.
So normally what we do is pasta classes and tiramisu. Our chef also does potato gnocchi, which I love.
That's lovely.
But because we use only professional chefs, very nice one and entertaining my professional chefs, they are open to preparing everything. So they are very, very happy when they get a request saying, can we do a local menu?
Right.
Because I think it's worth it. And And there are very nice dishes, especially the ones with cheese, which are
I think
amazing.
local people, sometimes when they look at the menu before they book a cooking class, they say, "Ooh, I don't know if I want that. That sounds so weird." But no,
Yeah.
I think you need to keep your mind open because the locals know how to do it. And if they're forced to teach a class where they could teach anywhere else, the food will be good, but it won't be fabulous, right? That's what I get. I mean, I think the first time I went to Sicily years ago, we went to a restaurant and they had the involtini, the pesce spada, right? Swordfish
Mm.
involtini. And it sounds weird, but I had it and I ended up eating it 3 more times because it's so delicious. And I look at the recipe online. Every time I come back home, I try to find a recipe online. And I'm like, that's too much effort. I'll just have to go back to Italy and eat it there because it's not going to taste as good. I know that. First of all, I know that knowing my cooking
Yes.
abilities, it's not going to taste as good. And also the fish, it won't be as fresh as you can get, the lake fish in the lakes region, the
Yeah.
swordfish in Sicily. And so I think you need to trust the locals a lot
Yeah.
more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. Definitely. So we are not lacking cheese here.
Yeah.
I promise. I promise. There's pasta with cheese, pasta cab. For example, there's a local dish which is called pizzoccheri, which is a buckwheat pasta with cabbage, potatoes, and cheese and butter. And when people read no, buckwheat
Yeah,
pasta with
because it's
cabbage,
cabbage.
oh,
Nobody
cabbage.
likes the word
Oh my
cabbage.
God, you cannot even feel the cabbage in there. It's so delicious, so
Yeah,
delicious. My kids love it whenever I do it. It's the kind of dish that you would want more,
right.
and the kind of dish that you normally get at the end of a hike. You know, when you get
Okay.
to the top of the mountain and you are like starving, and you get the pizzoccheri or the brasato, so the meat with polenta, for example,
Oh,
is another
yes.
Lombardy dish. So dishes which are very rich with butter and cheese.
Hearty, right?
Lombardy is not now. Lombardy is the region of cheese and butter, not of olive oil. Lake
Right.
Como is an exception because Lake Como had, like Lake Garda and Lake Maggiore, has a very nice production of olive oil. So we do tastings also, and we compare the olive oil from Lake Como to the one in Sicily. From Sicily, they are very different, and that's also very, very, very interesting. So in Lake Como, you can enjoy a local bruschetta.
It's beautiful. It is a beautiful region, and I think
Yeah.
families and kids would love traveling there. There's a lot to do. It's not just for adults, but if you're there for a honeymoon, and then once you have your baby and you go there for a baby moon, and then as your kids like age up, it's a region you can definitely revisit because I think with all the regions in Italy, you can go back and there's so much more to explore. I think that's why Italy is one of the
Yeah.
most favorite places for me to visit. Actually, it's my favorite place, okay. But it's my favorite place to visit. But yeah, and I think that my kids love it too, right? They've only been a couple of times and we went with my son to Rome last year during Thanksgiving. We went with our kids and for the longest time my son was really just a big city person and I love big cities too, the convenience, um of like subways, things being open 24/7. You
Mhm.
get that convenience of living in a city. And he goes, "Oh, we're going to Rome." He just kind of like sneered, right? Like, "Oh my God, I can't believe you're going to take me here." But I think what he doesn't understand is that towns in Italy, they really do have they're walkable, all walkable, no matter how big or
Mm.
small.
Definitely,
There's always
definitely.
a city center that lacks here in the US. The US really doesn't have city center
That's the
towns.
bigger difference. And
Yeah.
when we travel to the States, we get this huge difference of driving around, driving to the stores and
Yeah.
everything, while we tend to. Oh, okay, when I do my shopping, of course I drive because I don't
Right,
want to
because
go
you have lots of
around.
bags,
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
yeah. But for example, my mother-in-law, she's 90. She gets her back
Bag, yes, the
the
granny cart.
bag,
Yes, I can see that they
the
drive them.
granny cart,
Yes.
and she goes everywhere and she
Yeah.
gets.
No, and
But this is, I mean, I think she's much healthier than what I
yes,
will be at 90 because she walks every single
where
day so much. Italians are changing a little bit. So what I do is maybe I don't walk to do my shopping, but I walk along the promenade, as we
Yeah.
were saying.
No, I think
So
it's nice to see that. And I think what he liked about it is that in Rome, we could just step out of our accommodations, right? We were
mhm,
staying near Piazza Navona, Pantheon area.
mhm.
Um, it's actually, I know it's so touristy now, but years ago, I think
Yes,
tw
but
20 something years ago when I first went, it wasn't that bad. It was,
mhm.
but now it's just, it was just teeming with tourists. But at the same time, if you go early in the morning, you wake up early in the morning, nobody's out.
I- okay, that's exactly what I was going to say. Even in Rome, of course, even in Bellagio, everywhere else, choose the time and you
Right,
will be able to enjoy it. Rome will need to be early in the morning.
right.
But for example, Bellagio, there are so many day trips from Milan, and people leave at 5:30,
Oh,
they're
wow.
back to traveling back to Milan. So the crowds, the big crowds, the one
Yeah,
with the
yeah,
flag,
yeah.
they will not be there
Oh,
after 7. So if
yes.
you decide to sleep in Bellagio, yes, it's very touristic. Maybe you will leave during the day, but when you get back and get dinner in Bellagio and a walk around after 7, 6:30, it's amazing.
Yeah,
So these are the kind of tips and suggestions that we give our clients through you um, to enjoy the destination at its best.
okay, Laura. I think that's going to be it for today's episode. Once again, thank you for listening to our podcast. If you liked everything that we shared with you and you want to book a trip with us, contact us below. I'll put all the details below. Baci. Ciao,
Ciao.
ciao.
See you soon.